The splendor of a king, clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself.
All right, as I said, I had planned tonight to talk about the subject of religious unity, but I had a change of heart, Deacon C. Wright. And I think I want to talk about a good old man by the name, y'all know the old brother. He's a good old guy. He lived a long time ago and went through a lot of stuff, but he pulled through. And I tell you what, it's something about his life we focus on more than anything else. But there's one thing about that guy's life that we miss from time to time, and I've talked about it here, but I just feel a need to really focus on it again tonight. Jekiah, close that door over there for me. And he's a good friend of mine, so I've been knowing him for a long time now, probably about 13 years, but I want y'all to meet him. Those of you who don't know him, those of you who do know him, let's talk to him again. His name is Job. So let's turn over there to the book of Job tonight, and let's talk to my old friend and see what words of encouragement he has to offer us. Been reading this, me and my wife, reading this little pamphlet right here, How to Build Trust in a Marriage. You know, you may say, well, we already got trust. Well, anything in a marriage, you ought to want to continue to improve on. So, and from time to time, you have to be reminded. That's why we have a 1st and 2nd Corinthians, a 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, a 1st and 2nd Timothy, a 1st and 2nd Peter, because you need to be reminded. And so, find little tracks like that sometimes. Do you good to read them? Do you good to read them? All right. So, and by the way, you not only want to know how to build trust, you want to know how to sustain the trust. And that's a major thing, sustaining it after you get it. So we're going to start off in Job chapter 1, and let's look at this guy by the name of Job. And all we really focus on a lot is the first few chapters of Job and what he went through, and though, you know, that's very important. And we're going to look at that, but it's something else that's even more important that in Job's life. So let's start in Job chapter 1, beginning with verse number 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job. That man was a blameless and upright, one who feared God and shunned evil. Now, looking at this first verse, Job was a dynamic guy. Dynamic. He was blameless. He was upright. He feared God, and he stayed away from evil. That's what the word shun means. He avoided evil. Good guy. From a human perspective, you think about this right here. From a human perspective, a guy like that right there, you know God is going to wrap his arm of protection around that guy. Got to. Good guy. Let's keep on going. Verse 2. This man had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Also his possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. So that this man was the greatest of all the people in the east. Not only was he a good man, but he was where I want to be one day. He was rich. So you can be good and rich, and you can be bad and rich. And you can be good and poor, and you can be bad and poor too. Job was a good rich man. He was a good old guy. Had a big, large family, all these donkeys and cows and sheep. Had everything. You can tell he was prospering. Verse 4. And his sons would go and feast in their houses, each on his appointed day, and would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And so it was when the days of feasting had run their course that Job would sin and sanctify them. And he would rise up early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. And thus Job did regularly. Notice what kind of parent Job was. Job did not assume he had perfect children. Job did not assume that his children would not make mistakes, but he assumed just the opposite. Job said, now my children have been away at this feast, and you know what? They're kids, their children, their teenagers, it's a possibility that they may have done something that they shouldn't have done. Even though I know I'm a good man, I'm living the way I want to live, I should live, and even though I may have raised them the way that I know God wants me to raise them, they still could have done something that they shouldn't have done. So I need to pray for them. And the Bible says he did this on a regular basis. Parents, do we hold our children up to a standard of perfection so that when they let us down, we're just so stunned and amazed that they let us down that we can't even function properly? I know I had started doing that at one point in time. Because you believe this hype that, you're a minister, and people want you to, your church is supposed to be this way, your church is supposed to know. My job, not as a minister, but my job as a follower of Christ, just like your job, is to raise my children the best I can from this right here and pray that they will stay on the straight and narrow. And God forbid that if they ever leave that pathway, I've given them a foundation to fall back on. That's my job. That's my job. I take that responsibility a lot more serious because I am the minister. Well, your responsibility is just like mine. And Job prayed for his children on a regular basis. I don't pray for my children enough as far as their behavior goes. I pray for their protection. I pray that they do good in school. But I need to start praying more myself that, Lord, when they act up and they don't act the way you want them to act, help them to see that they need to change, or help them to see that they need to apologize when they do something. That's what I need to start praying more. Maybe you do too. I don't know. Job did this. Number 6, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Satan also came with them. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" So Satan answered the Lord, said, "I've been going to and fro throughout the earth, walking back and forth on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? That there's none like him on the earth. He's blameless and upright. He's a man who fears God and shuns evil." And Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? I know what you're doing, God." Verse 6, Satan said to the Lord, "I know what you're doing. You put a hedge around him. You put a hedge around his household and around all that's on every side. You have blessed the work of his hands and his possessions, and you have increased his land. But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face," Job. Satan talking to God. So get the picture in your head. Satan, God sitting on the throne, or however they do it up there. He could be standing up as far as I know. I don't know. All I know, Satan said, "I've been just chilling, going throughout, Collegeville, Fardale, going throughout, just looking, checking stuff out. Yeah, I've been through Birmingham too. I was over in Irondale the other day. I done been, whatever your street address, just plug your street address in there. I've been by y'all house too." Satan said, "I'm just waiting for that perfect opportunity to just get one of them folks at Main Street." And the Lord said, "Okay, you so bad. You been by Job's house yet?" Job bad boy. Job bad boy say. And Satan said, "Nah, he ain't bad. He's not bad at all, Lord. The only reason you saying he bad is because you got him protected. You done protected him. You done prospered. You done made his hand. Everything he's done, you blessed him. That's the only reason he is bad. And I tell you what, if you get that hedge out around him and let me get in there on him, the Lord, I guarantee you he'll curse you." Now, let's stop just a minute. How true is that for so many of us? That as long as everything going good, oh boy, we so dedicated to God that we got our back straight. We singing hallelujah. Man, we just filled with the Holy Spirit. We sing to the highest of our vocals. We said, "Praise be to God." who giveth me the victory. But as soon as things get bad, as soon as times get tough, what Satan says in this verse right here becomes a reality. We begin to question, point the blame and the finger at God as if it's his fault that we're going through what we're going through. See, Satan is smart. And the reason he is smart is because not only does God know us, Satan studies us and he knows us too. And he knows our breaking points. What Satan told God right here was the general breaking point for a human being. As long as everything's going good, I can be faithful. But as soon as it hits, Satan understands the breaking point. That's why he told God, hey, stretch out your hand. Let me get in there at him. Let me disrupt his life. And I guarantee you, he will curse you, God. He will blame you. Satan knew the breaking point for human beings. He knew all of us have that certain moment or that certain time or that certain thing within our life that can come in and disrupt our thoughts. It can disrupt our activities. It can disrupt our relationships with each other. And when those disruptions come, we can't focus on God. What did Peter do? Jesus, is that you? Jesus said, yes, it's me, Peter. Peter said, Jesus, is that you? Let me walk on water. And he said, come on. And Peter said, testing the water, making sure it's hard. He finally got out there. When he got out there walking on water, he said, look at here. And he started walking, and that first wave came and slapped him in the face. Bam! And he looked, and the next wave came. Bam! And he saw the oceans begin to rise. He saw the air begin to get dark, and he started getting afraid, and he started losing sight of the very one that gave him the power to step out there anyway. He lost focus on Jesus, and he began focusing on the storm. He lost focus on Jesus, and he began focusing on the wind. He lost focus on Jesus, and he began focusing on the rain. He lost focus on Jesus, who is the light, and began to focus on the darkness. And when he started doing that, he became distracted, and the Bible says he began to sink. And Jesus put his hand out, helped him up, and looked at him and said, boy, come on now. Got to have more faith in that. Distractions. Satan understands the breaking point for us. And you know what? It doesn't mean that we're imperfect because we have a breaking point. It should motivate us to realize that breaking point is there and do everything we can to keep from getting that breaking point. See, Satan wants you to get there. God doesn't. Verse 13, now when that day, when the sons of daughter was eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plying, and the donkeys were feeding beside them. And when the Sabeans raided them, took them away, indeed they were killed, the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you. And while he was still speaking, another came and said to him, Job, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another came to him and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 bands and raided the camels and took them away. Yes, and killed the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another one came and said, your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And suddenly a great wind struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the younger people. And they are dead, Job. They are dead, and I alone have escaped. Job! Put yourself in Job's shoes. Imagine what you have right now. Everything vanished in the blink of an eye. Man. What I would do. You ever been mad at somebody and don't even know who it was, just get mad? You can do something stupid at the house and you just get mad and start punching stuff. Y'all may not do that, you can do that. I could be playing basketball and get on the free throw line practicing. I want to make 10 shots in a row, and I've been out here all day trying to, and I get to number 9, and I miss it, and I just get that ball and just throw it as far as I can throw it because I'm mad. Mad at somebody. Just mad. Man, I'm just wondering, if I had been Job, would I have been that mad? What have been the emotions? Mad, hurt, curious, all of those emotions balled up together, not understanding why what happened just happened based on my commitment and love for God and how I've shown that for God all these years, and all this happened to me all at once. I can imagine that's probably what I've been thinking. Especially if I know I've given my life to God and I've been trying to do the best I can do, and yet all of this my reward. Verse 20. Job rose, tore his clothes, shaved his head, fell on his face, fell to the ground, and did what? Worship. Would I even be in the frame of mind to worship? Somebody tell me why you think Job fell on the ground and started worshiping. Going through all of this in his life. Tell me why you think he probably did that. Go ahead.
Because that's what he knew. That's what that was his thing.
Okay, that's what he knew. That's how he was raised. That's what he was used to all his life. Could have been any of those things. Yeah. Anything else?
The faith.
Yeah, faith. Yeah, faith. Faith in what, though?
God.
Faith in God. Why, though?
Because he knew God would take care of him.
Yeah. He knew God wouldn't do it to him.
Yeah, but the devil had him confused.
Yeah. Job. Here's what Job did and what he did not do. What he did was he worshiped his God. What he did not do is turn his back on the only one who had his back. He didn't blame God for what happened. He was upset. His wife did. Look at chapter 2 and verse number 9. Then his wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die." Now, I would say she wasn't quite as strong as Job. But I also am not going to pass judgment on her either to say, "You a fool, woman. What kind of faith you have to tell him to curse God and die? What's wrong with you?" Easy for me to say that. What would I have done if I had to be in this situation? This woman who is emotionally created differently from a man has just lost everything that she knows. And I can't imagine what this woman was going through. But Job, being the strong man that he was, he didn't break down because he didn't want to see her break down any further. And watch how he handled the situation. Verse 10. He said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God? Shall we not accept adversity?" In all of this, Job did not sin with his lips. Job was the backbone of his family. Even for the times that his wife could not deal with the pain, Job as a man stood strong and said, "Baby, we're not going to do this. If we can be for God when things are going good, we can be for God when things are going bad." And Job held his family together. No doubt, hurting himself on the inside. And so Job went to questioning God, and God had a list of questions for Job. Turn your Bibles over to let's see here, 37. Job chapter 37. Chapter 37 is where Job's last friend came over and accused Job of, Job, you deserve all this. You did something. It's coming back on you. You know? And none of that was true. Matter of fact, I don't even believe in that foolishness. I don't believe what goes around comes around. I do not believe that at all. I believe you reap what you sow, meaning this right here. You can create within your own life repercussions. But that doesn't mean that in high school I did somebody a certain way and the same thing going to happen to me eventually. I do not believe that. That's a superstitious. You reap what you sow. Whatever environment, whatever situation you create, however you do people. If you do somebody wrong, yes, that person may come back around and try to hurt you, but that don't mean they're going to do the same thing to you. You reap what you sow. In that sense, yes. But I do not believe. People tell me all the time, Brother Elvin, you remember how you was as a young boy, that your daughter, boy, God going to pay you back. I do not believe. If that was true, why would God even tell us to bring our kids up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord? He should have put a verse in there. However you was when you were young, don't even worry about bringing them up because I'm going to do this. I'm going to get you back with what they're going. Let me tell you something. Do not let the world trick y'all into believing that. The word of God is powerful enough to keep your children straight and powerful enough to bring them back when they mess up. If your kids do something as they grow up, as they will, it's going to be because they made a choice to do it, not because of anything you've done in your life. Unless you have influenced them with bad behavior while they're growing up. Don't y'all let the world do y'all like that and make y'all feel less than a good parent. Everybody in here is a wonderful parent, a wonderful grandparent. And you believe that. Don't you let the world tell you anything differently, as Job's friends were trying to tell him. But jump down and look at, let's go and jump on over to chapter 38. Job was asking some questions of God. And so, watch how the Lord responds to Job by questioning him. Verse 1, the Lord answered Job out of a whirlwind and said, who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Job, he's basically saying, man, you don't know nothing and you questioning me. You don't know a thing. And notice what he said in verse 3. Now you prepare yourself like a man because I got some questions for you. Job said, Brother Wilson ready to peace back there, boy. Preach it, Brother Wilson. Hey, the Lord said, Job, if you're big enough to question me, let me see if you're big enough to answer the questions I have for you. Now get ready, Job. Here they come. Are you smarter than the 5th grade? Verse 4. Where were you, Job, when I laid the foundations of the earth? I don't know. Tell me if you understand it. Who determines its measurements? Surely you know, Job. Or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundations fastened, Job? Or who laid its cornerstone? God basically saying, Job, can you tell me how the earth hangs in the air and doesn't fall? Man, could you imagine God asking you something like that? We can't even answer that now. The scientists still trying to answer that. Verse number 7. When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Or who shut up the sea with doors when it burst forth and issued from the womb? When I made the clouds in its garment and the thick darkness its swallowing's band. When I fixed my limit for it and set bars and doors. When I said, this far you may come, but no further. Or here you may proud ways, you proud ways must stop. He said, Joe, where were you when I made the seas and the oceans obey me? Where were you, Job? Verse 12. Have you commanded the morning since the days began, Job, and caused the dawn to know its place? Basically, Job, do you make the sun come up in the morning and go down at night? No, sir. Verse 13. That it might take hold of the ends of the earth and the wicked will be shaken out of it. It takes on form like clay and under a seal, and it stands out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and the upraised arm is broken. Have you entered the springs of the sea, Job? Or have you walked in search of its depths? Don't you know they don't even know how deep the ocean is? It's so deep they don't even have equipment to go all the way down there. They don't have equipment to go all the way down there. This thing just went blank. I can't miss. We got to get this right here. We got to wake this thing with the sleep on me. Oh, we still going, internet lane. We don't have equipment to go down there. Take 6. I'll cut that part out. All right. And so he said, Job, where were you? Verse 17. Have the gates of death been revealed to you, Job? Or have you seen the doors of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me. You know all of this, Job. Where's the way of the dwelling of the light in the darkness? Where's his place? That you may take his territory, that you may know the paths of his home. Do you know it because you were born then, or because the norm of your days is great, Job? Job basically was saying, Job, how old are you? Because this light and darkness stuff been around for a long time. How old are you, Job? Have you been around that long? Verse 22, have you entered the treasury of the snow, or have you seen the treasure of hail? I'm not going to read through all this, but I want to jump down and look at the rain cycle. Verse 25. Who has divided a channel for the overflowing water, or a path for the thunderbolt, to cause it to rain on the land where there is no one, a wilderness in which there is no man, to satisfy the desolate waste, and to cause a spring to go forth, the growth of tender grass? Has the rain a father? Boy, God is bad. God ain't nothing to play with. Job, you see the rain come out, where it come from? Did his dad send him down there? Or who hath begotten the drops of dew? From whose wombs comes the ice and the frost of heaven? Who gives birth to it, Job? The water hardens like stone, and the surface of the deep is frozen. Man, the Lord is letting Job have it. Look at verse 37. Can you number the clouds, Job, by your wisdom? Or who can pour out the bottles of heaven when the dust hardens in clumps and the claws cling together? Can you hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions when they crouch in their dens or lurk in their lairs to lie in wait? Who provides food for the ravens, Job? You don't feed them, I do. I feed them every day, and they're doing just fine. Did you see all of these questions that God has for Job? And then he gets to the dinosaurs. Yes, dinosaurs. Turn to chapter 41. Chapter 41. All right. Let's back up to chapter 40. Verse number, let's jump down. I want to skip some of this. Let's jump down to verse number 15. Now remember now, God is asking Job questions that captivate his imagination and his curiosity, questions that he just can't possibly answer. You got to think to yourself, what kind of animal existed that has ever captivated the imagination of a man? Is it an elephant? Is it an alligator? What is it? A whale? What is it? What animal leaves us starstruck? Look at verse 15. Look now, by the way, even if this, let's say this was a dinosaur, which I believe it is, it wouldn't have been called a dinosaur at this time anyway, because the word dinosaur didn't come on the scene till later on down the road. So verse 15 says, look now at the behemoth which I made, Job. He eats grass like an ox. See now, his strength is in his hips. His power is in his stomach muscle. He moves his tail like a cedar tree. Boy, the elephant sure got a big tree tail on. The little straw tail sweeping around. He moves his tail like a cedar tree. The sinews of his thighs are tightly knit. His bones are like beams of brass. His ribs like bars of iron. He is the first of the ways of God. Only he who made him can bring him near with a sword. God said, I'm the only one that can bring this animal down. You try to approach him with a sword if you want to. Get your head bit off. Verse 20, surely the mountains yield food for him, and all the beasts of the field play there. He lies under the lotus tree in the coverts of reeds and marsh. The lotus trees cover him with their shade. The willows by the brook surround him. Now look at verse 23. Indeed, the river may rage, yet he is not disturbed, because he's confident that though Jordan gushes into his mouth, whenever he travels into the Jordan River, the waves can get as high as they want to. It doesn't bother him, because if he wanted to, he can drink the whole river up. He eats grass, and then he goes in the water. Oh, I ain't never seen an alligator eat grass. But anyway, God is asking Job all these questions about these animals. In verse 41, in chapter 41, he talks about this sea creature that's so big and humongous and ferocious that nobody could approach it. He shoots fire out of his mouth. So God carries Job on this long journey of questions. Now watch this. If you were Job and God asked you all these questions, what would you be saying? I don't know. Lord, I'm sorry I questioned you. Please don't ask me another question. I promise you I won't question you again. Brother Wilson, I'll see you later. Let me show you what Job said. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do anything, and that there's no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. I understand that. Verse 3. You ask, who is this who hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I uttered what I did not understand, Lord, things too wonderful for me. Listen, please. Let me speak. You said, I will question you, and you shall answer me. Now stop for a minute. Look, watch how beautiful this is. Don't read on. Don't read on. Just look for me. Job said, Lord, before you start answering me this question, it's a lot of things I didn't realize. But after you ask me these questions, Lord, I just realized that there are things that's so wonderful that I did not understand. And as a human, I did not understand how great you were, how awesome you were, how powerful you were. But Lord, you asked me a question. You asked me a question. And you said, I want you to give me an answer, Job. Lord, I want to give you an answer. And watch what Job says in verse number 5. I have heard you by the hearing of the ear. But now what? I don't think y'all know how powerful that is. Lord, I had people telling me about you. I even knew about you. I knew how good you were because I looked at my life and I see how much you blessed me. And I looked at my family and all the blessings my family had. And I didn't realize, Lord, how wonderful you were and how wonderful your creation was. I didn't realize all of these wonderful things, Lord, because I was going through so much. And I know you know, but I lost everything I had. I lost my possessions. Lost my sons. Lost my daughters. And I almost lost my wife. And that made me forget how good you was, Lord. But by you asking me all these questions and by me looking at your majesty and your power and by me really realizing for the first time, by looking around at everything you created, I see now I'm in no place to question. And because of that, Lord, look what he says in verse 6. I abhor myself and I repent in dust and ashes. Romans chapter 1 verse 18 says, the invisible things of God, have been seen since the creation of the earth. And they make known to us his power. Meaning this right here. If there's ever a point in your life when you're going through something, if there's ever a point in your life where you begin to question why things happen the way they happen, if there's ever a point in your life to where you feel like giving up, Romans 1:18 says, don't look around. Because you can look around at what God made and see his majesty. You can look around at what he made and see his power. You can look at the things that are in our lives, the relationships that we have with each other, human beings, fleshly people, babies that God has made, that only God can make. And be assured that he is out there, and the promise he made to be with you, you can rely on that promise. Job said, Lord, I knew it, but now when I stop to think about what you have made and I look around, Job said, Lord, I know you there. I don't need to see your body. I know you're there because of what you made. And because of that, Lord, it hurts, but forgive me. Forgive me. After Job's response, verse number 10, notice what the Bible says. And the Lord restored Job's losses. When he did what? His friends were the ones accusing him. Job had to pray for them first. In order to do that, he had to do what first? Forgive them. Forgiveness is the hardest thing. But the blessings attached to it outweigh anything that mankind can imagine. The only way to really, truly forgive the people who've hurt us is to know God has you back. He does. The Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then all of his brothers and all of his sisters and all of those who had been his acquaintances before came to him and ate food with him in his house. And they consoled him and comforted him for all of the adversity that the Lord had brought upon him. Each one of them gave him a piece of silver and each a ring of gold. And now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginnings. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons, 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, the name of the second Keziah, the name of the third Karen Hapuk. In all of the land were found no woman so beautiful as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years, and he saw his children and grandchildren for generations. You see, Job, God did not just allow Job to go through what he went through, but he also allowed Job enough time after the pain to live and finish enjoying life as well. He was able to watch his grandchildren. Run around, pray, and play, and call him Papa, Papa. No matter what kind of day I'm having. My children, my baby boy, he can always do something to bring a smile on my face. You may say, well, your wife can do that. Yeah, but what if I'm mad at her? You know, hey, because you know normally when we're upset, it has nothing to do with the children anyway. It's the grown people now that we're mad at. Remember this. Remember this. Job's dedication to God. Job's bad circumstances in life. Job's questioning God. Job stopping to realize the greatness of God. Job praying for his friends. Job being blessed. Yeah. Most of the time, that cycle is more for us than it is for anybody else. Because once you can get through that cycle, the peace that you need to carry on in your life begins to take hold. Once you come to grips with that in your own life, it benefits you more than anybody else out there. Even when it comes to forgiveness, forgiveness is more about you having the peace that you need in your life than anything. Because sometimes, even when you want to forgive people and they don't want to forgive, they don't want you to forgive them, what can you do about that? Not a thing. So peace through forgiveness sometimes is much more valuable to you than it is to anybody else. Because it keeps you at ease and at peace with God. You know, God did not let Satan get away with what he did. Because God created a hell just for him. Matthew 25. God said, the hell that's prepared for the devil and his angels. God didn't prepare hell for none of us. He prepared it for Satan. He did not let Satan get away. And the things that go wrong in our lives, God is not going to leave undone. I guarantee you that. Trust the Lord.
Let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide. It trembles at his voice, trembles at his voice.